Hello, fans, and we're back for another exciting season of FAU Softball. Justin Johnson joined once again by Meredith Frazier,
Hello.
and the Owls ready to start their second day of the 2017 season. Split a doubleheader against North Florida last night. Won the first game 1-0, and then actually got run ruled 13-4 in the nightcap. So they will be looking to regain momentum. Don't want to let that first early loss get them down too much. In the circle for the Owls is Conference USA preseason pitcher of the year Kylie Hansen. Hansen was the winner in last night's first game, throwing a complete game shutout against the Ospreys. And to lead things off for NC State here in the top of the first will be left fielder Tyler Ross.
2016, Ross finished the season with a 380 average and will lead things off here in the top of the first. Let's Hansen's first pitch go by for a high ball one. If we take a quick look at the FAU defense behind Hansen, behind the plate is Alex Miller looking at the infield. Witt at first, Leger at second. Second pitch from Hansen called strike. Locked in at short, Buckley at third, and then in the outfield left to right is Peck, Palmer, and Ricky. So an interesting mix of upperclassmen and lowerclassmen. Delivery from Hansen, a high chopper right to her glove, a quick flip over to Witt. Is able to retire Ross to lead off the top of the first. As I was saying, Hansen and Delaney Ricky, the only two starting seniors in today's game. Some juniors and underclassmen sprinkled in. Yesterday, the Owls started quite a few underclassmen. Coach Joyce mentioned that today's lineup might look a little different with a few more upperclassmen sprinkled in.
A few more familiar faces in the lineup for the Owls tonight. As the Hansen throws strike one to Molly Hutchison, the Wolfpack catcher. Hutchison swings and misses on the second pitch and quickly finds herself in an 0-2 hole.
Hutchison, a senior, was second team All-ACC and AC All-Academic team honors as Hansen gets her swinging for strike three. So very quickly, Hansen and her Owls find themselves with 2 outs in the top of the first.
NC State kicked off their 2017 campaign with a come-from-behind win over Bethune-Cookman. That game just wrapping up about half an hour or so ago. As Hansen throws one high to first baseman Cheyenne Balzer. It sounds a little ridiculous to call, 70 degrees ridiculous, unseasonably warm, but that's what counts as unseasonably warm here in Boca Raton in mid-February.
And it is delightful outside.
Don't listen to that. That's nonsense.
Hansen's delivery strike two. So Balzer will step back in with a 1-2 count. With nobody on and 2 outs, Owls defense straight away. Outfielders already in their warned patches that they will become so accustomed to. Hansen goes outside. It's a great 1-2 pitch. Evens up the count to 2-2. Balzer finished up last season with a 202 average as Hansen throws a low strike and gets Balzer looking. So when we return, the Owls will send their top 3 to the plate, hoping to start things off here in Boca in the form of Lockton, Palmer, and Ricky. We'll be right back. Not a fan of this paper, Justin. No, it's my fault, because I don't have my thing. Oh my gosh, listen to what happened to me today at Office Depot. Wait. Okay, look. So I think that's just us hearing each other. Okay. What did you do? Now it's off. Oh, no? I can't hear you either. Okay, now I can hear myself. Can you hear you? Okay. All right. Nope.
Hello?
I'm not about to tell the whole world about my experience at Office Depot, so it's going to have to wait. As Emily Lockton steps up to the plate, let's take a quick look at NC State's defense. Silverman on the mound, Hutchison behind the plate. Balls are at first, Compton at second, Finn at short, Nimmo at third, and then Ross, Caraway, and Prickett in the outfield left to right. Locked in a huge presence both in the field and at the plate in 2016 for the Owls. Finished up
Finishing up the year with a 364 average.
Sorry, Justin was trying to send me some sort of secret message. I didn't know what he was talking about.
Oh, my goodness. Here we go.
Lockton will step back in with an 0-1 count. Watches this go low and outside for ball one. Lockton certainly one of those players that you love to have on your team as she sends this into shallow second base, if that is a place on the field. It was really right in between Silverman and Compton, kind of in no man's land. Compton got a slow jump on it. Lockton is very fast and was able to reach first safely. So the first runner for either team here in the bottom of the first in the form of Emily Lockton.
Was going to point out before Meredith decided to run a vehicle over me that Emily batted in the cleanup spot all of last season, so it's a bit strange to see her in the leadoff spot, but obviously not that big an effect as she reaches on the infield single. That will bring up last year's Conference USA Freshman of the Year to the plate, Madison Palmer.
Palmer known to slap and drag from the left-hand side of the plate. Lets the first pitch from Silverman go by for ball one. Locked in at first, is headed to second as Palmer makes contact, but it rolls foul. And Emily will make the trot back to first base. As we mentioned here before, the weather is beautiful. A lot of, obviously, northern teams down here to start their season. Locked in with more of a modest lead as Palmer pulls back and lets ball two go by.
Just to clarify, folks, that was Meredith pointing out that it was delightful weather. It is far too chilly outside for a South Floridian like myself.
A native South Floridian.
Well, yes.
Palmer steps back in, shows bunt. Lockton takes off for second. A fantastic throw from Hutchison, but Lockton is there in time. So with a runner at second, Palmer will step back in.
And the discussion going on between the umpire who was at second and the NC State head coach, because the umpire ruled that Lockton would have been safe either way on obstruction, and I'm guessing that that's the nature of the discussion between the umpire and the NC State coaching staff.
It was certainly a pretty close call. It wasn't, I would say, it wasn't the worst case of obstruction I've ever seen, but certainly as a head coach you need to make a case whenever you see fit. Certainly one thing that stands out to me about NC State is just the simple height of their defensive lineup. Before the game, Coach Joyce and I were talking, we kind of both agreed that the physical traits of the softball player have kind of evolved over the last 10 years, and you'll see a lot of girls that could play softball or basketball. Very similar build, very tall girls. Certainly that manifests here in NC State. Palmer will step back in with the conversation between the head coach and the umpire finishing. Hansen checks her wrist strap, or excuse me, Silverman checks her wrist strap, delivers to Palmer. Ball kicks past Hutchison. Emily Lockton absolutely does not slow down. And Palmer will go into second standing up. Owls come out and congratulate Emily Lockton and the first run. We'll discuss Lockton's turn around third base. Conversation finished. So right fielder Delaney Ricky will step in. Ricky let Silverman's first offering go by for strike one. When you turn that down, it shuts the whole thing off. So you have to figure out something else to do. So I had already turned it back up. Shows bunt again. This time rolls foul. Delaney Ricky, a senior from Jacksonville, as I mentioned, her and Kylie, the two starting senior Owls this evening. So Delaney will go ahead and square bunt early like she usually does. Pulls back, slaps it down the third base line. Nimmo is right there to pick it up and flip it to first to retire Delaney. However, that advances Palmer to third. So with a runner in scoring position, Tatum Buckley will step in. Buckley played a little bit of everywhere last season, certainly a utility player true to form. She takes her first pitch from Silverman with a good cut, strike one. I would sense with the departure of the Martinez twins, we will see Tatum in that second base spot pretty regularly as she takes strike number two from Silverman.
Tatum, like Coach Joyce, hails from the great state of Connecticut.
Silverman goes high and inside. Ricky certainly, Buckley, I think, thought that one looked a little bit better than it really was. That will bring up Alex Miller. Miller, another player who will step in with some shoes to fill after the vacating catching senior. Miller will step in. She platooned as she sends this into left field, hits the line. Ross was running in, and I'm sure thought it was going to drop foul. Kicks up chalk. So Alex Miller is safe at first. Puts another run on the board for the Owls here in the bottom of the first.
Davis, a freshman who's seeing some early time in the starting lineup. Waits the first pitch from Silverman. Swung on and missed. Strike one. The NC State pitcher looks at her wristband, and Davis fouls this one off into the screen. NC State, one of the many teams in college softball where the coaching staff calls the pitches.
A nice off-speed offering from Silverman goes inside on Davis's hands, and she's unable to make contact. So when we return, we will see more Caraway and Compton as they try to add 2 on the board to match Al's 2 in the bottom of the first. We are a hot mess right now, Justin. No, that's not what Brandon explained to me. This is you and me. So I don't know what this is. Like I don't. You didn't touch those. That's what I'm saying. So if we both go off, but then what is this? I think he just meant who pushes the button. All right, you talk for a minute if you don't mind, so I can catch up.
Leading off the top of the second inning will be the NC State designated player, number 2, Jessica Moore. She pops the first pitch up in front of the pitcher's circle, and Lauren Witt will make the play for a 1 pitch, 1 out. First pitch to center fielder Jade Caraway swung on and missed. And Alex Miller will trot out to the circle to have a conversation with Kylie Hansen. Not exactly sure what the difficulty there was, but Miller quickly resumes her position behind the plate. Caraway fouled this one off her ankle and is down. No balls and 2 strikes. This one scoots away low in the dirt from Miller for ball 1.
Hansen will step back in and deliver.
This one
Chest high outside. Compton gets a piece. Certainly Miller earning her keep back there early on as things kick away early. Like we've talked about before, here in the FAU Softball Stadium, backstop fairly deep. As Hansen hangs that one for ball 2. So count evens up at 2-2, and Compton steps back in. Gets more than a piece of this as she sends it to right center. Both Ricky and Palmer converging. Palmer will be the one to come up with it. Misses the cutoff. A great grab by Lockton, who then, though, unfortunately overthrows Buckley into the NC State dugout. So quickly, Compton finds herself on third base. A fantastic at-bat by Compton. Whittled away at a few of Kylie Hansen's pitches, getting a tip here, a tip there, and then rockets that into right center. NC State head coach having another conversation with home plate umpire.
I think this one may be related to the obstruction call made earlier in the previous half inning. He wants the same obstruction call that he feels the Owls were given. No such luck, and he will return to his third base coach's box. But the Wolfpack with a great opportunity to cut the Owls' lead in half here with a runner on third and just one out.
Shortstop Finn steps in, takes strike one from Hansen. Hansen certainly not one to give up. We'll paint that exact same spot 2 times in a row to bring it to strike 2. Certainly a few teams here getting their early season rust off. Seeing live pitching, especially our teams traveling from the north. Warm dirt's hard to come by this time of year, as Finn takes ball 2, but swings at this offering high. Certainly a catch-me pitch from Kylie Hansen. That will be the second out of the inning for the Owls.
Question: What is a
Answer.
What is a catch-me pitch?
Well, Justin, I'm glad you asked. I've given you a few decent ones. Now I'm going to throw this high outside, and I dare you to try to catch it. How's that for a definition I just randomly made up?
Okay, all
You're
right.
welcome.
Well, it sounded like you meant
Thank
it.
you. I did. Boy, did I ever.
It sounded convincing, even if it was made out, flying by the seat of your pants.
You're welcome.
Anyway,
that was not a catch me pitch. That was I'm going to go outside.
Oh.
See what you do with it.
See, I would call that a waste pitch. Is what I would go with.
That's
there.
fair. That's fair.
Thank you.
Either one works. Just a reminder, NC State with a runner on third. Alex Miller does a fantastic job behind the play of blocking anything that might get by. Nemo offers at 1 to even the count at 1-1. Certainly Miller is aware of Compton on third. Hansen delivers. Nemo gets a piece. Nothing too difficult. Goes foul. Owls once again with 2 outs, playing pretty straight up defensively. Nice off speed from Hansen will sit down the NC State third baseman. So although they get a runner on with a towering hit into right center, NC State unable to push across. After 1.5, the score remains FAU 2, NC State 0.
And now we resume action here in the bottom of the second. Owls trying to add to their 2-0 lead, and sophomore first baseman Lauren Witt will lead the inning off. Grounds this one to the second baseman. It briefly gets away from her, but she stays with it in time over to first to make the play, and quickly there's one away in the inning for the Owls. That will bring up Amanda Peck, a JUCO transfer. Drew the starting job tonight in left field. She drops a bunt right in front of the plate, and there's absolutely no chance that Silverman can get out of the circle in time to get her.
A fabulous bunt. Fabulous bunt by Peck that basically died right in front of the plate. Grounds crew always does a fantastic job of maintaining the field in between, and that's just kind of a casualty of having the late night game. The dirt doesn't dry as quickly, and if you have a successful bunt in your arsenal, now's a good time to do it.
Certainly, as a late timeout is granted to Legere.
Peck certainly following in the footsteps of FAU's speedy softball players that they have had in years past. As I say that, she takes off to second. Legere lays down a beautiful bouncing bunt, and everybody is safe.
Well, in my first look at the Owls, it appears that the coaching staff will continue to try and use speed to put pressure on the defense. And that has certainly been the case with the first trip through the lineup.
Absolutely, and once you see the speed on the base pass, as Silverman gives Lockton an off-speed pitch that she bites at, first pitch for strike one. Once NC State knows that speed is an option and out there, it's always in your head, so certainly show that speed early. Let them know that they need to be aware of it. As Lockton takes this off the knob of the bat, from some angles it might look like it had clipped her wrist a bit, but it didn't. It went right off the knob of the bat, so she'll step back in with an 0-2 count. Shows bunt, but will pull back. Chops this right into the glove of Finn. Quick flip over to third. So they will retire Peck, who really had no other option, but that will advance Legere to second. And Lockton will be on first. So although Peck has left the bases, certainly no speed lost in Peck and Legere. Maddie Palmer will step in, reaching base safely last time. Silverman's offering outside for ball one. NC State's outfield playing in a bit more shallow, suspecting that Palmer might have a slap up her sleeve. Great pitch from Silverman for strike one. A modest lead from both Lockton and Legere at first and second. Third base umpire will ask, or confirm, home plate umpire will ask third base umpire if Palmer went around. He said yes, she did. Brings the count to 1-2. Palmer gets a piece of this to stay alive. So certainly, like we talked about, knocking off the rust here in the beginning of the season. Lots of foul balls, lots of little tips straight back to the net as people try to figure things out. Silverman checks her Wrist delivers to Hutchison, and home plate umpire with a very emphatic strike 3. So Palmer will return to the dugout. Owls unable to add anything onto their lead there in the bottom of the second. When we return, NC State will send Prickett and then back up to the top of the order with Ross and Hutchison to try to chip away at this 2-run Owl lead.
And we head to the top of the third. NC State, Brittany Namo. I knew I wanted to say it. I wanted to say it right. I had it. I overthought things. Who I'm sure did not receive any teasing on account of that last name, is now down count is now even at a ball and a strike.
I think we would be remiss to point out that we know it's softball season when in between, as Hansen attempts to paint the outside corner but does not for ball 2. In between the innings, we just had what I have seen, the first dizzy bat contest of the season. I was not here last night, so that was my first dizzy bat contest of the season. Hansen goes inside for ball 3, brings the count to 3-1. Really, that's your true barometer of spring. Has there been a dizzy bat contest?
Then it's not spring. Yes. Then if it has, then it's spring. And a delayed strike 2 call from home plate umpire Charles Smith. Namo.
Yep.
Had had thrown the bat away and was preparing to trot down to first. Home plate umpire said not so fast, and it's full count. Check swing. Appeal down to first, says she went around. So 3 consecutive batters. Going back to last inning, Hansen had a runner on third and 1 out, was able to retire the next 2 batters. Then the first batter here in the top of the third gets behind 3-1, is able to fight back to record a strikeout. And that will bring right fielder Macaulay Prickett to the circle. She looks at strike 1. 0-1 pitch low in the dirt, and count is even at a ball and a strike.
Prickett looks to be a speedy lefty.
Sort of a half chop swing to Lockton over at short, but she makes the play, and there's 2 away here in the top of the third for the Wolfpack. We work our way back to the top of the order, and left fielder Tyler Ross now at the plate.
Ross, I was just going to say, hit a chopper ground ball into Kylie Hansen's glove in her first at bat and literally does the exact same thing. So Hansen sits down, 1-2-3. When we come back, The Owls will send Ricky, Buckley, and Miller to the plate if anyone reaches safely. Davis. Owls looking to add on to their 2-run lead here in the bottom of the third.
And we will go back to the Owls batting order here in the bottom of the third. Feels so strange to say senior right fielder, but senior right fielder Delaney Ricky to lead off the bottom of the third for the Owls. Hacks at the first pitch, but it's over the visiting dugout and out of play for strike one.
And Delaney certainly one of those players that you've gotten to see transform throughout her career here at FAU. Started out and would get some pinch running opportunities. Again, FAU always fielding a fast squad as she attempts to slap this for strike two. So Delaney would always get some pinch running opportunities, and then it would turn into an occasional pinch hit opportunity here and there. And then she would kind of pepper into right field, and certainly over the last 2 seasons has claimed that as her own. Silverman goes high for ball 1. So it's nice when you cover a team and you get to see players kind of just acclimate themselves naturally and claim their spot. So
hopefully not too embarrassing a story for Delaney, but one of my memories from last season is she chops this one to third, over to first in time for out number 1. But to finish the story, one of my enduring memories from Delaney from last season is her crying when she found out she made the Conference USA All-Tournament team. Went up to her and reminded her that this was a good thing. This is something. This was something to be happy about. It was like you realize you won. Like this is good news.
yeah.
But just so overjoyed at the thought that her play was recognized. As Tatum Buckley takes strike 1.
Certainly worth mentioning that Ricky is one of those players, like we saw there, a ground ball to third. Don't count her out anything. Like, she made that play look a lot closer than it would have been with most people because of her speed, as Buckley looks at strike 2. So very quickly, Tatum Buckley finds herself in the hole.
Well, to your point earlier about the speed of this Owls lineup, when Delaney Ricky is your slowest outfielder, you're probably a pretty fast bunch. You're in pretty good hands speed-wise if Delaney Ricky is your slowest outfielder. 0-2 pitch in the dirt. A ball and 2 strikes to Tatum Buckley, the junior from Connecticut. Lifts this one into center, into the gap. The center fielder will fall down. Tatum makes the turn for second, but will hold up. And she's aboard with a 1-out single.
Certainly landing in no man's land out there, kind of in the perfect storm between Prickett and Caraway. I don't know if Caraway slipped or, as it gets later in the night and the grass starts to get a little dewy. Dewy?
Dewy works,
Dewy,
yeah.
okay. Sometimes it can be a little treacherous.
Well, also, we did receive a fair amount of rain as Alex Miller grounds this one to short, over to second, over to first, not in time. So
a beautiful flip over at short from Finn to covering Compton. Compton with a great throw over to first. But once again, I feel like we say this all the time. Alex Miller just too fast. So NC State, great on their part. Alex Miller just able to leg it out there at the last minute.
But to finish the thought about the outfield, we also did receive a fair share of rain here in the Boca Raton area yesterday. So it's, and as Meredith mentioned, it's not as warm as it typically is here in South Florida this time of year. So it's entirely possible that it may not have completely dried up out there. That may have led to the slip by the Wolfpack center fielder. Faith Davis, a strikeout victim, her first time up, fouls an 0-1 pitch back over the screen and is now down 0-2. Pitch well outside for ball one.
So Faith Davis, kind of how we were talking about the Delaney Ricky, as getting some time as a DP. Davis, a true freshman. So certainly looking for good things from her from the future.
Swung on and missed, and for the second time tonight, Davis goes down on strikes. So that'll do it for the Owls in the bottom of the third. We head to the fourth inning with FAU still leading 2-0. Just a quick recap. I'm sure most of you folks listening already know, but since the last time we left you, that is at the end of last season, the Owls went on to sweep they'd already won the Conference USA regular season title. They went on to take the Conference USA tournament title and advance to the NCAA regionals for a second straight year. Lost to UCF in their opening game, defeated Alabama State in their second game, and then lost a rematch to the Knights in 9 innings to be eliminated. But still a record-setting year for the Owls last year, 51-9, a 12-0 start to the year, and a school record 21-game winning streak. And 4 players named to the Conference USA first team. One of the Martinez twins made the second team. And Hansen, who's in the circle for the Owls, finished number 1 in the country in ERA at 0.76 for the season.
A paltry 0.76.
A scant 0.76. And Hansen, as is her tendency, is quickly ahead of the batter. No balls and 2 strikes.
Softball team had a nice ring ceremony during the basketball game last week. We're able to be honored by basketball fans and their fellow student athletes, so that was nice.
Indeed, not only a very nice ring ceremony, but a very nice ring that the girls received.
That's right.
It was a very impressive piece of jewelry that the girls will be able to look back on.
A little hardware never hurts anybody.
Never hurts. Balzer swings through the first pitch from Hansen. No balls and 1 strike. Swung on and missed, and for the second straight batter, Hansen is ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. Oh, 2 pitch on the way from Hansen, swung on and missed, and Balzer is retired on 3 straight pitches for the second out of the inning. A truly frightening prospect to all future Florida Atlantic opponents. We talked about Hansen's performance last year where she led the nation in ERA and was named an All-American. Prior to the season opener, Coach Joyce said in an interview that Kylie Hansen has gotten even better since last year, as difficult as that may be to believe, as this one is lined down the line in left field for a 2-out hit. They caught Moore drifting a little too far off first. The throw behind her, not quite in time. And so the Wolfpack have a runner aboard with their second hit of the game. That one just inside the chalk down the line and left, but some heads-up defense by Amanda Peck to throw behind Moore and almost catch her sleeping. First pitch to Jade Caraway swung on and missed for strike one. The 0-1 pitch misses inside. Counts even at a ball and a strike.
Caraway a hit in her last at bat, certainly hoping to repeat that this time. Hansen goes outside, unable to paint the corner. Ball 2. A good preseason crowd tonight.
I was just about to say that the fans showing up to support the FAU softball team in the first of what will be 4 home tournaments for the Owls as Caraway fouls this one back into the screen.
Certainly it's a nice, easy early spring trip for teams up north to come down. A fantastic unintentional bunt there, a full swing, but it certainly doesn't go more than 15 feet in front of the plate. So Caraway reaches safely and will push Ross to second. Brings up second baseman Compton. Compton with the bomb in her last at bat into right center. First offering from Hansen, strike 1.
Talked about this some last year that, some pitchers tend to take runs personally. And towards the end of last year, Kylie was taking hits personally. Well, speaking to Coach Joyce earlier this week, she said she may think Kylie's to the point now where she takes making contact personally. And
there will be none of that.
And the Wolfpack already have 3 hits here through the first 3 2/3 innings as the 0-2 pitch to Compton is outside for a ball and 2 strikes. This one chopped back to Hansen, quickly out of the circle, flips over to Witt for out number 3. So Hansen able to work herself out of a bit of a jam. Gives up a couple of hits in the top of the 4th, but at the halfway point of game number 1, the Owls still leading the Wolfpack 2-0. And it will be Amanda Peck to lead off the, it'll be Lauren Witt, number 19, to lead off the bottom of the fourth for the Owls. Lauren grounded out to second her last time up. First pitch swinging down the line, but foul. And hopped over the fence there along the third base line. Appears to be someone in an FAU jacket that made the play, but can't quite tell who. They're in that blind spot just behind the visiting dugout. Strike one to the sophomore from Ocala. This one lined back up the middle. Lauren able to straighten it out. And she's aboard with a leadoff single.
So left fielder Peck will step into the box. Jen Joyce looks to be possibly getting a pinch runner out for Witt. Hold tight and we will see. Looks to be number 55. Pinch runner Sammy Williams, a freshman from North Broward Prep here in Boca, will take over running duties for Witt. Peck will step back in, shows bunt, fouls back. It's always nice to see people from close by here in Boca. They can bring people to cheer them on. Certainly we wish Sammy the best of luck.
Sure. Well, the Owls have always had their fair share of homegrown talent as Peck again shows off her speed. Bunt down the line and to third base. And to her credit, Wolfpack third baseman Brittany Nemo was able to pounce on the ball quickly and made a very good play to make that play a lot closer than it would have been otherwise, but just not in time to catch Peck. And the Owls have their first two batters of the game aboard.
And I don't know if most people could see it from the stands. We're elevated, so, we can kind of see in front of the plate. But I'll finish that in just a second. Legere chops it into the glove of Compton at second base. Quick flip over to second to get Peck out by the force. But what I was going to say is Peck even bought herself an extra step because when she made contact with the bunt, she was only holding the bat with her left hand. So she certainly squared early, left her left hand out there with the bunt, and was well on her way very quickly after making contact.
Emily locked it up as Legere is intentionally trying to get caught in a rundown. The Wolfpack second baseman sort of escorting Sammy all the way back to first base while keeping a close eye on Amanda Peck at third. Excuse me, that's not Amanda Peck. That is Lauren Witt at third. But Witt does not attempt to advance, and it's still runners on the corners with one out for Emily Lockton. Another pitch high and tight, and once again, Legere will drift off of first base and sort of shrugs her shoulders as Wolfpack second baseman Alyssa Compton not really taking the bait there.
Sammy Williams coming off third, still a modest lead. I don't think that she's come far enough to really get anyone's attention yet. But as we've said before, once you start it, as Lockton sends a towering fly ball into shallow center, Williams on the hop will tag up and be safe, as Legere will go ahead and advance to second. So certainly Lockton didn't hit that ball very far, and you can see she's frustrated as she returns to the dugout, but very, very, very high.
And now it appears that they called Williams out for leaving early from third. And so that run will not score. So that will bring us to the end of the fourth inning with FAU still leading 2-0.
NC State looking to get something started here in the bottom of the fifth. We'll send shortstop Finn to the plate. Finn has yet to reach base safely in this game against FAU. Finn, a transfer from Riverside Polytechnic, as she takes this pitch low in the dirt for ball one. Owls defense pretty much straight away with no outs and nobody on here in the top of the fifth. Hansen sets, delivers, inside pitch. Finn swings for strike two. We'll step out, get a sign, and step back in. Certainly things looking bright for Kylie Hansen in this season opener of a tournament, getting ready to, as I say that, sit down Finn with an outside pitch. You want to tell us who's up next, Justin?
I mean, I can.
You can do it. What's her name?
I'm going to go with Brittany Nimo.
Oh, you're killing me. Nemo.
I'll get it. We've got at least two or three more innings left. She's bound to have one more at bat. I'll get it.
Well, I apologize, Brittany. As she sends an incredible chopper down third base line. Buckley is quick, but Nemo is quicker. And NC State has a spark here in the form of their third baseman on first base. That will bring up NC State right fielder Prickett. Makes contact with Hansen's first delivery while she shows bunt for a ball strike, for a foul strike one. Hansen delivers. Prickett swings again. Strike two. Hansen looking very sharp today. Coach Joyce and I spoke before the game about how they do have a solid crop of younger players, as Emily Lockton will send an absolute rocket over to Witt at first base. Prickett was almost a half step, a half swing. Lockton charges it so strong, fires it over to Witt at first. Witt pulls her foot, so Prickett will find herself safe. As I was saying, with a large incoming class of younger Owls, they have the luxury of kind of being behind Kylie Hansen at the beginning of the season and kind of getting the jitters out while maybe not having to do a lot at the beginning because Kylie is so dominant.
Certainly having an All-American in the pitcher circle lessens the pressure on
a little bit
on everyone else on everyone defensively, particularly those who are new to the team. Alex Miller tries to throw behind the runner Nemo at second.
What you all can't see is that Justin just gave himself a fist pump for getting that correct. Keep going. Keep telling us, Justin.
As I was saying before I was so snidely interrupted, Miller threw behind Nemo at second. The throw actually went into center field, but Palmer was there backing up the play, so Brittany was unable to advance. I wasn't gonna tempt my luck by trying to get that right a third time.
Fair enough. Count as 1-2 as Ross steps back in. NC State left fielder sends a ball very similar in height to Emily Lockton. Witt, Delaney, Ricky, and Legere all give chase. Like we've said before, up here in the press box, there is a sliver of field that we cannot see once the ball goes towards the dugout. So we kind of have to rely on the crowd reaction and the fact that Ross is getting ready to step back into the box. I would say that no one caught the ball. We don't know what happened, but she's back up.
Seems that the second base has become dislodged. And Samuel Legere,
all 5'2" of her, really trying to get it back in the ground there.
Going to secure it to the moorings by using the old time-tested method of just jumping up and down on the base.
Ross will step back in. Certainly NC State a huge opportunity here with a runner on first and second. One out in the top of the fifth. Hansen goes outside, paints the corner, and will sit Ross down for the second out of the inning. So a huge out by Kylie Hansen. Unfortunately for NC State, that brings up Hutchison, who has struck out twice against Hansen this evening. Looking for something here to jumpstart their fifth.
First pitch to Hutchison swung on and missed for strike one.
I would say in the second game of tonight's doubleheader, as Hansen delivers, Hutchison will let this go by for ball one. I would say we would see Wilson on the mound. Other than that, like we've talked about before, preseason is a great time to kind of try out your newbies, see how they fit with your more veteran players. So I suspect things will be switched up a bit. Hutchison gets a piece of this, lifts it into left, unfortunately for NC State, right into the glove of Peck. So NC State leaves two runners stranded and unable to push anyone across. After 4.5, the score remains FAU 2, NC State 0.
Madison Palmer leading off the bottom of the fifth here. FAU with the same 2-0 lead it has had since the bottom of the first. Palmer charges the pitch, but takes it off the outside corner for strike one. This one low in the dirt to even the count of the ball and the strike.
Madison Palmer showing her wheels off yesterday. Neither Justin and I were here yesterday, but we're told, as she lets this go by for ball two, that she went from first to third on a ground ball to third base. Just never stopped running.
No.
Once she goes, she's hard to catch. So certainly this part of the order where you have Palmer, Ricky, and Buckley, fast, faster, and fastest, and locked in, leading things off. Really, that's four of probably the fastest people on the team leading off your lineup.
Not a whole lot of give, not a whole lot of leeway for those infielders if they make a mistake or are indecisive on a grounder.
No, absolutely not.
This one low in the dirt, and the count goes full to Maddie, who platooned early on last season out in left field, but about halfway through the season she won the job on an everyday basis and responded by hitting over 400 on the season. Not a bad way to start your college career.
She sends this foul ball into the NC State dugout. We have talked numerous times that the way the FAU softball complex is set up, as Silverman checks her wristband and delivers, Palmer sends this down the third base line. Assistant coach Witt sticks out a hand to knock down the line drive, shaking his hand as if that might not have been a great idea. Jokes with
it wasn't.
But it's too late to take it back down. The dugouts here at the FAU softball complex sit at field level, and there is nothing in front of them. They are totally open. So you've either got to pay attention or get out of the way. As Palmer chops this to Compton at second. It was a fast-rolling grounder, or I suspect it would have been a little closer than it was, with a flip over to Balzer at first to retire Palmer as the first out of the inning. That will bring up Delaney Ricky. Ricky has grounded out twice to third, not uncommon for a lefty that tends to slap. We'll see what she does here. Right back up the middle. Silverman with a little hop to stick her glove up. And just like that, NC State has retired the first two Owls of the inning.
Tatum now up with 2 outs. Lifts the first pitch down the line and right. Second baseman Alyssa Compton tries to make.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, tries to make the running play. That's a long run for the second baseman.
I'm sure I couldn't have been the only one that was bracing for an impact, as Compton was sprinting out, and Prickett, the right fielder, was sprinting in at both of them at a dead sprint. So certainly glad that did not happen, and everyone avoided the collision. Off-speed offering from Silverman hits the dirt.
Especially when you pointed out the height and size of these NC State defenders. When those two come together, that would have probably not ended well for either one of them.
No, and we certainly don't want anyone to start the season off with an injury. A fantastic cut by Alex Miller. Miller, a righty, gets every bit of that and sends it foul down the third base line.
I mean, there are plenty of college students who come to Florida in February, March to get smashed, but I don't think that's exactly what they had in mind.
Oh, boy, Justin.
Well, hey, you know.
Silverman delivers this time outside. Miller will let it go by for ball 2. Alex Miller, certainly with the catcher's mentality, you're not going to catch her off guard very often by your throwaway pitch or your catch-me pitches. She's pretty disciplined at the plate, as most of these Owls are. Assistant Coach Witt once again sticking a hand out for those foul balls. I mean, we can get him a glove, but I don't know if he knows he's out of eligibility.
Yeah, he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to try for those.
There's people behind him.
They got your backup, Coach.
So Silverman will reset. Miller will step back in. Off-speed pitch gets Miller swinging. So NC State, with a fantastic defensive half of their inning, will put a goose egg up on the board for FAU. As we move into the 6th, the score remains FAU 2, NC State 0.
Headed to the top of the 6th here. And it will be Cheyenne Balzer leading off the inning for the Wolfpack. Balzer, a strikeout victim her last time up. Fouls this one over the fence down the third base line.
And as softball season once again starts, we're reminded of the Boca Regional Airport that sits on the other side of the softball field, separated by maybe 50 yards of grass.
Perhaps, yeah, give or take
maybe.
50. That's where Meredith flies her personal aircraft in to do every game.
Obviously, as Balzer will take this for strike 2.
That's the
Why
level.
drive? Avoid 95.
That's the level of dedication she has to you, the home listener. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. And Hansen is beginning to rack up the strikeouts. She had 10 last night. And by my count, she already has 6 tonight.
Certainly Coach Joyce has to be pleased with that. Moore will take the first pitch right back up the middle and line it into the glove of Palmer, who was there waiting in center. So very quickly, the Owls start off a pretty formidable defensive half inning of their own.
Well, we talked extensively about how that speed translates on the base paths, but there you saw it translate defensively as Palmer was able to make what would have been a very tough play look fairly routine with her speed. This one grounded to Lockton. Nice backhand over to first. And as Meredith mentioned, about as good-looking a defensive inning as you can have in the field for the Owls in the top of the sixth. So 3 up, 3 down go the Wolfpack in the top of the sixth. We head to the bottom half of the inning. FAU still leading 2-0.
We will take a quick look as NC State gets out on the field. We'll take a quick look at the other teams in the Florida Atlantic Kickoff Classic and kind of the upcoming schedule. So yesterday was switched around a little bit because of Boston and some travel issues, obviously coming from the Northeast. Their weather isn't as warm as ours. But today and tomorrow, full of good softball here at the FAU Softball Complex.
As Faith Davis, strikeout victim in her previous 2 trips to the plate, fouls this one off along the berm in left field for strike 1. Gets just a piece of this one, and it rolls foul behind the plate. Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes for the freshman. Always a comforting thought, or a comforting sight, I should say, to be able to walk out of your office in the middle of February and look out and see softball games going on all day.
In short sleeves.
In short sleeves,
In short
yes.
sleeves. That is worth saying.
In short sleeves. Well, Meredith will be wearing short sleeves. Luckily, the press box is a little warm, or otherwise I would be in full Eskimo mode right about
goodness.
now. I am not built for the cold weather. I'm not afraid to say it.
Thank goodness you're a native Floridian.
Amen to that. Nothing wrong with that.
A huge cut from Faith Davis. Again, a freshman, certainly wanting to make her mark. You can tell she's hungry at the plate. Just was unable to make contact with that. So that will bring up.
That'll bring up Lauren Witt. Witt singled up the middle and was lifted for Sammy Williams in her previous at-bat. Grounds the first pitch over to third. Nemo makes the play, throws over to Balzer at first in time, and there's quickly 2 away here in the bottom of the 6th. And we have it's a extra game ball that made an appearance, so one's quickly shuffled to the home plate umpire, and Peck will step in.
Amanda Peck reaching base safely. Her first 2 at-bats, has yet to score. She swings at Silverman's first offering for strike 1.
As Meredith has mentioned, Amanda, one of the many products of the local Tri-County area here and surrounding the FAU campus. Started at Stetson, went to St. John's River for her sophomore year, and then returned closer to home to FAU, about 45 minutes away from her home in Wellington. check swing on the 1-1 pitch, but the home plate umpire says she did indeed go around. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Mentioned it earlier. Always nice to see the fans so supportive as Peck swings through strike 3, and it's a quick 1-2-3 inning at the plate for the Owls. When we come back, Hansen will be in the circle looking to shut the door on her second shutout already of the young season. FAU leading 2-0.
NC State's final chances will rest in Compton, Finn, and Nemo here in the top of the 7th. Just a quick look at tomorrow. Things will get started for FAU tomorrow evening. Correct, Justin?
Yes, that is correct.
They will face Bethune-Cookman at 8:15, and then Michigan State on Sunday. I can't believe today's only Friday. Sorry, it's been a long few weeks, folks. There's a lot of things going on here on campus right now as Compton swings and misses for strike 1. Men's basketball happened last night, and obviously the same time softball. Softball is tomorrow, as well as men's basketball, softball on Sunday. Certainly the overlap season, as Compton sends this foul back into the net. The overlap season is upon us, which is, in one hand, hard to keep up with in the schedule if you work various sporting events here on campus. But on the other hand, you know you can show up to campus basically on any weekend during the month of February and catch at least 3 sporting events going on. Hansen goes outside for ball 1.
And as I was told earlier, it warrants mentioning in short sleeves.
In short sleeves, that's right. Short sleeves, bring your lawn chair. Hansen goes low and inside. Compton digs it out of the dirt, sends it to Leger at second with a quick flip over to Witt. The FAU baseball team opens up their season at home next weekend, had their ring ceremony last night during the men's basketball game. So it's nice to see the spring sports getting a little love here.
Sure. As well they should.
During the winter months.
As well they should. When you're as successful as FAU baseball and softball have been over their entire history, it's nice for the student athletes to get that recognition. Arguably the 2 most successful programs here on the FAU campus.
Certainly speaks highly of both Coach Joyce and Coach Mack and his predecessors. Not Jones' predecessor.
Yeah. Joan has no predecessors.
There was no life before Joan. Certainly they've made a wave for themselves here. Okay.
As a matter of fact, sorry, Meredith.
No, that's okay.
But Coach Joyce will miss the dinner as Hansen gets Finn swinging for out number 2. Coach Joyce and Kylie will both be on the road when Kylie is up for Amateur Athlete of the Year from the Palm Beach County Sports Commission. Of course, it's fitting that 2 people as competitive as Coach Joyce and Kylie are, they will miss the ceremony for last year's award because they're busy chasing this year's award.
Absolutely, absolutely.
This one fouled back into the screen. Sends a couple of fans ducking for cover as they... You sometimes do forget that screen is there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. Nemo will step back in with a 1-1 count. Nobody on, 2 out here in the top of the 7th. Hansen goes low and outside for ball 2.
So as Meredith mentioned, this is game 1 of 2 for FAU this evening, as that one misses off the outside corner, and it's 3-1.
Second game was originally supposed to start 4 minutes ago.
And speaking of that game, the second game tonight, against Boston University, is that one is called strike 2, and the count is now full. That game against Boston University added so that the Terriers could have an extra game after this game had to be rescheduled due to their travel difficulties. 3-2 pitch lined just foul into the corner there along the left field fence. But as I was mentioning, this game you're currently listening to between the Owls and Wolfpack was originally scheduled for 8:15, but in order to give Boston an extra game and allow them time to recover from their travel, this game was moved up, and the Owls and Terriers will meet shortly following the conclusion of this one, as Hansen gives up what I believe is her first walk of the evening. Her second walk of the evening. And that will bring the tying run to the plate.
I think we will see a pinch runner.
Indeed,
Looks
we
to
will.
be number 5 for NC State. Number 5 in the shape of Molly Martin, a right-handed senior, listed on the roster as playing second base and a little bit of the outfield. So as Prickett steps in, Martin will be at first.
And we saw FAU assistant coach Troy Witt come out of the dugout to position his defense. This one fouled back over the screen and into the stands, and always a combination of excited reaching for the ball and scurrying for cover. For strike 1, 0-1 pitch high. Count is even. The foul into the stands was strike 2, so it's 1 ball and 2 strikes now. Hansen shakes off a couple of signs from Miller, steps off, and Alex will trot out to the pitcher circle as her and Kylie try and get on the same page.
When it's warmer and the foul balls go into, the stands and the surrounding grassy areas, and you turn them in, there's usually a popsicle at stake. So during warmer weather, those create a little bit of a havoc, as Kylie Hansen, in only Kylie Hansen fashion, after a quick talk with Alex Miller at the mound, retires Prickett to secure the 2-0 win here in the 7th against NC State. Give us about 25 minutes, half hour.
Sure.
We will be back on with FAU against Boston University. Catch us right here in about a half hour.